Yo, what's good, everybody? This your boy Sean, and it's been a while. I have not done a live stream on this channel since February of last year. It's been a long time. It's been going on a year, and by certain coincidence happened, I'm live here today, and it's our usual Friday movie talk with my man who usually hosts the show, Varangian Vigilante, on his channel. Welcome, man. Great to have you here. It's a new year, 2023, and we're doing this on my channel. So how are you doing?
Well, you all can't see me, but I hope you can hear me. I need to buy a new camera. Apparently, this one has like 80% chance of dysfunctioning when it's plugged in, unlike my penis. So, yeah, we moved the show now to Sean's channel because, let's just say, laws here are getting crazy. Uh, Basically, there is this law that when you have a website, a blog, or a channel, like an outlet, where you are where you're like informing and doing stuff that could change the opinion of somebody, you would have to put your you would have to make like an impressum, which means you would have to put your personal address, your telephone number, and everything out there. Which of course makes sense if you're like a company because you have like a company address and stuff. But if you're just doing this for a hobby and you don't have like a company, so let's just say I'm not putting my private address out on the internet.
That's crazy.
So I put my whole channel private. And yeah, we moved this now to Sean's channel since it was just a hobby channel anyway, and now now I'm just free to appear on other channels, so basically nothing changes.
It's a good thing you put your channel on private because Sauron was watching, man. That's why
Yeah, Sauron is always watching
he's
that.
always watching with that evil eye.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy, man. We've done this for 2 years on your channel, so now we start anew on my channel. But we're always gonna bring you that quality, exciting movie talk, great discussions, and just move it over to my channel.
Exactly. So like nothing changes, and with some stuff we can revisit again in the future. That's the good thing. We're never running out of material anyway. There's
Oh
so
yeah,
many awesome movies to talk about, and of course we are just starting to talk about the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, and of course like the last show we had was. Officially the Two Towers video, but I think we talked more about the Cimmerillion than Two Towers.
I, I ain't gonna lie. I felt like I was a third wheel on that. Yeah, because the last time we did this, we had the Two Towers stream and Lady Fantastic joined us. It was a great show, but there were technical difficulties on my part because
Yeah,
my microphone just went haywire and stopped working. So I can hear you guys, but y'all couldn't hear me. So it was kind of ruined by technical difficulties over the last couple of weeks.
yeah, and I hope that in the next time I'm gonna get a new cam that is hopefully functioning better than this one.
Yeah,
But at least the microphone functions, so you all can hear me.
but they won't be able to see your beautiful face, man.
Ah, they will get away. It's like just imagine Gollum.
Yes, so man, so we was able to do the first Lords of the Rings. It's on your channel, but it's private now, so people probably won't be able to view it. But
Yeah,
um, and one thing about this franchise is how deep the characters are and how great of the action in the world of Middle Earth is. And when you get to the Two Towers, you get a lot more expanded character growth on like Frodo, Samwise.
yeah,
You get introduction to the Golem who made brief appearances in the first film, but now we get to see him in full form in this one. And I just love the evolution of a lot of these characters because even Pippin and Merry grow as characters. You
Absolutely.
know,
I mean, I would say they even grow more like in the third one.
oh yeah,
Yeah, but I think in the second one, the biggest growth, of course, is that of Samwise Gamgee. Like
yes,
he's like this. This really shows like his true potential. And as we also tackled the last time we were live, was that the relationship between Frodo and Sam, of course, is very much inspired by the relationship like an officer and a regular soldier has. Of course, this stems like from the experiences of Tolkien that he had in World War One.
yeah. You know, that those two characters are the central core because they have the one ring that rules it all, and they must get to Mordor to destroy it. And the battle tested mentality that they have to go through, in terms of all the bumps and curves on the road to Mordor, really shows their growth and their strong friendship, especially Samwise. Because
Yeah,
and look, I already watched the third movie, and you know that's why the whole 2 week delay. I gotta watch the third movie because I've been holding back on it and stuff. But man, the Samwise is definitely one of my favorite characters, and it is so many great characters in this film. But
yeah,
you know his strong bond to Frodo and making sure that he's upright and not getting possessed by the ring and saying we got to do this, Mister Frodo, is so great and so strong that you know you can't help but feel for him whenever he gets put down, especially in Return of the King.
yes. I think this is such a big strength that the Lord of the Rings has in general. That you get in the beginning already introduced to some core characters, and along the adventure, along the quest, like several characters are introduced, but it never feels like a character is forced into the story. Like every character has a real purpose, and especially for all the good characters, like you're really rooting. Um, and also, like yeah, in Two Towers, we are not only seeing the development of characters that were introduced in the first one, but then of course we see characters introduced, from Faramir, like in the end. Then of course we also see from the Riders of Rohan. It's just incredible how Peter Jackson managed to take these characters from the books and show a true development in this adaptation. Hey, Biggie.
What's up, Biggie? Yeah, and you know a movie with an ensemble cast like this, there's a lot of characters that needs to develop, and this is why we always say once you go to the extended versions, you never go back to the theatrical ones. The
Exactly. And
extended ones give you more of these characters and characters that probably wouldn't be fleshed out if this was just a theatrical cut.
yeah, not everything, and still there's a lot of stuff in the books that didn't make it to the movies, but mostly I think it was a correct decision. It was also so fun. Like I rewatched the animated movie by Ralph Bakshi again for New Year's Eve, and of course, it's basically just parts of Two Towers and the Fellowship, and then it just ends at the Battle of Helm's Deep. Uh, but I truly think that Peter Jackson and also some actors like really watch the animated movie and like when with Boromir when Boromir goes after Frodo's ring,
Mm-hmm.
that this scene how Sean Bean acts and how the character in the animated movie acted is almost one to one from how they how the mimic works and how they just move the movement and everything. So I really think that the animated movie uh, had a big influence also on how to create the live action adaptation.
And the animated movie was rotoscope too, if you know
Yeah,
Ralph Bakski's work. So a lot of that work really translates well to how they did it in this movie.
My camera is not functioning. It was functioning on the pre-show, but then it just went
Yeah,
offline.
we was like less than a minute away from going live, and his cam like, fuck this shit. I'm messing
Yeah,
up on video.
like I'm still on vacation. Like hell no.
But yeah, and then again, some of the other fellowship members, Oregon, Legop, Legolas, and Grimlil, those characters really go through the test of, and especially the Battle of Helm Deep. They really go through the ringer and survive a lot of tested battles.
Yes, there's also like this beautiful growth in that character group, which is so funny because with their huge debacle that was the Rings of Power, and they were like pushing for more diversity, etc., etc. I mean, how much more diversity can you get in having like a man, an elf, and a dwarf, uh, like together?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is also one of these beautiful stories in the Lord of the Rings. Since the elves and dwarves are not having the best relationships
Nope.
culturally, etc. However, the friendship and the true bond, the growth between Legolas and Gimli, is
I
it's
I
something that
love
was fantastic in the book and something that was fantastically adapted in the
I
movie.
I love their competitive nature
Yeah.
against each other. Like, to me, that really shows bondage. When you're two different kind of people, but then you have this competitive edge, like who can get the most kills and stuff. I
Yeah,
love that.
that was actually a huge part in the books, like the competitiveness with the killings. uh,
Yeah, that the whole bond of the characters was great. And one of my favorite moments was Gandalf's transitioning into Gandalf the White, from gray to white, and the
this was
battle with
one
the
of the
Balrog.
scenes where I've wished that I wouldn't have read the books before, because the way it was shown, like, and you think, oh, it's Saruman because they're very very close
Yeah,
to Isengard. Um, and you was just thinking of, oh fuck, now they have to fight Saruman or something. But of course, it's revealed it's Gandalf came back as basically what Saruman should have been.
yeah,
So uh, yeah, this is something that the movies don't go too deep, of course, like the race of the Mayas, etc. Because of course that Saruman, Radagast, Gandalf, etc. They're not humans. They're way more way more powerful. Um, but it's just such a fantastic scene, and you can see how they pulled it off, and I really wish that I would have been surprised at that moment. Uh, but
the
of
way
course,
they pulled it off still was great. Even if you read the books, it's like
yeah,
it's like what you're seeing in the books is transitioned to real on screen, and it's beautiful. Like, that's what I love these movies. Like, you would think something in the books, they could botch it, mess it up, and it comes off poorly. But they done it so well that it's like, even if you wanted to be surprised if you didn't read the books, it still came off fantastically well done. And that's a credit to Peter Jackson and the crew for how they did it.
yes, in every scene in the Lord of the Rings, you can see the love that was there for the source material. And Peter Jackson always said, they don't want to put their own baggage, their own opinions, etc. in it. No, they want to tell Tolkien's story through Tolkien, and this is exactly what they managed to do. Of course, like there are some scenes like the one scene where they move from Rohan to Helm's Deep when they're getting attacked by the Varg riders,
Yeah.
and they have like this fake death for Aragorn. This one scene is the only scene I would have said cut it out because it doesn't add anything to the plot. But otherwise it's perfection.
Yeah. And I mean, the one thing it does give Oregon, like, his trip back, and he sees the army forming and getting ready to come and attack. So that was the only thing that we got out of it. But his character arc, and you could just see that the character is slowly becoming more and more confident, and that when the title of the third movie, Return of the King, that he is going to achieve that status of that king. Especially when I watched that movie and he got the sword. Oh man, I can't wait till we talk about that.
This is also, we already talked about character development, and of course when we meet Strider Aragorn in the Fellowship, and he's basically like a ranger type character, and then when we see how he more and more becomes the leader of the group, fulfilling the promise, fulfilling his destiny, until he finally realizes now he has to lead his people. That was also done so naturally and so well. It was done so so coherent. It was done so coherent. Of course, it was. I think that's also something we're gonna talk about it in the next movie. Was done a little bit on the shoulders of Denethor, who was not portrayed as horrible in the books as is in the movie. But I totally get it. You can't adapt everything one to one, and of course, some quotes are changed between characters. Some quotes that were added earlier in the book are late in the movie, or vice versa. But that's just nitpicking. At the end of the day, I don't think there are better book adaptations out there than the three Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes, and the amount of characters they introduce. I mean, we get the introduction of Treebeard and the Ents. Yeah. The one thing that was funny to me, and I tried to mention this last week before my mic got messed up, but I like how they get to this whole meeting where they all talk about whether they're going to help or not, and Mary's getting pissed, like he has that Clockwork Orange look on his face. He was really channeling that look.
Right, eh?
and they said we're not going to help, and I was sitting there like, man, your boys are over there getting decimated by Saruman. Nobody came over to say, hey, we're getting decimated on the other side of the forest.
Yeah,
I always get a laugh out of that.
Yeah, but that's also something that you have to do in some movies, especially if you're making big blockbusters that also should turn in some money. Of course, you also have to add some humor, in some scenes, and because things are getting serious at this point, and there's not much hope. What sometimes what some people forget when they're watching it is that although we as an audience, we see what Frodo is doing and what the rest of the Fellowship is doing, that got divided from him in the battle at the end of the first one, is they actually have no clue what is happening there. Only they're getting some bits late, of course, when they're going to Minas Tirith and they're meeting Faramir, and Faramir says, "Oh, he saw the two halflings," and they were basically going into Shelob's nest. So that's also because they're all doing this based on faith. That it's we're doing our part. We don't know what Frodo is doing, but we have to do what we can, and if the only thing is that we can divert the forces of Mordor to have Sauron's gaze on us, so that he doesn't focus too much on Frodo.
Yeah. Oh, and that was a huge part of in the third movie. The distraction of Saruman, trying to get his eye attention away from Frodo.
And the thing we also see in the second one very good, also right in the beginning, is the terror that Sauron's force and Sauron allies unleashes like all over Middle Earth. You know, all the raids, all the killings of just farmers, etc. And that basically it's like it's like an all-out attack on all the free people of Middle Earth, and you're not safe anywhere, especially at night, since of course the orcs and goblins are only able to move at night. But then, of course, Saruman creates the Urukais, and the big thing about the Urukais is not only that they're big and brutish, is
Oh,
also they can move at daylight.
yeah. And you know the closest to Mordor is Gondor, and you know they right there, and they're the first ones to be attacked, especially when we get to that third movie, which you know we'll discuss next week. But
Hmm?
man, it's like I want to talk both movies at the same
I know
time since I've
it's so tough because of course everything is interconnected, and it's but of course one can't talk all three movies in one stream. Otherwise, you could sit here like for 6 or 8 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing about Faramir that I like and you can resonate with his character is, you know, he's like that ugly duckling of the brothers, you know, whereas a father
Yeah.
values the older brother, like that's my son, you know, like that's the one that I champion. And then the younger brother is kind of like forgotten and treated like a bastard stepchild instead of an actual son. And it's to the credit of Faramir that, hey, like, if that was me, I was like, man, I don't know how much I can tolerate from this father that just doesn't love him at all.
Yeah.
And you know, it'd be like after Boromir passed, I would have wondered how that relationship would have continued on, especially what we see in part three.
Yeah, because we have a really beautiful deleted scene then where we see, of course, where we see how Gondor reconquered like Osgiliath, and then we have this wonderful brotherly moment between Faramir and Boromir, where
Yeah,
you can totally see that Faramir was not only like a big brother for Boromir was only like a big brother for Faramir, but also he took also a little bit of the father part that was denied by his real father.
yeah, and you know, Boromir loved Faramir.
Yeah.
They were true brothers, but it was the father that like almost wanted to split them by putting one in the higher standard and lowering the other's standards. And
Yeah.
you know,
And also
he
think that
definitely was a jerk in the whole series. And even though I know y'all said in the
in the books
deleted
is
show
a
that
little different
yeah,
because he also has his reasons. Um, being I forgot the English word, but the German word is like a Truxes, like when basically you're just a stand-in for the real king. And of course, like over the ages, if there's no real king and you suddenly feel like you kill like and you like earned actually this, which is actually true because like he was like there at the front for decades. He was fighting off the forces of of Mordor there,
yeah,
and like it was like the blood of his people he had to sacrifice, and so it's very understandable from his point of view that he's like pissed if like the true heir comes along like from the bloodline of the kings. But it's like, hey, where were you like all these decades? Like we were like here in the bloody trenches, and like
and I do feel that that element of his character was left out, whereas the movie kind of like just made him seem like,
a
you know, he
dick.
just wanted the ring
Like
of power and that he championed Boromir over Faramir and stuff like that. He was a complete jerk. Whereas if we would have gotten at least some explanation of that, then we could have, you know, understand his motive a little bit more.
yeah, some bits and pieces were there because of course he rightfully also mentions is like, you know, you
Yeah,
hear, oh, you know what came up the stream, like the dead body of my son who was sent on a diplomatic mission, and it was like returned a corpse. Like what happened there? And also, of course, that Gandalf was not very honest to him. Like,
yeah,
you know, and he's like, I know who is riding with you in the group. Like, and like you're trying to use me like with one hand to fight against Mordor, on the other hand you want to put the king back on the throne. So at least he was not present. He was presented like very ignorant, but at least he was not presented dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that again, that's just the vast amount of characters that this series has. That each character could have a breakdown on their so especially with the knowledge of the books and stuff. Like you could easily do a video breaking down every character to the bone.
yeah. So, what do you think about if you would rank the Battle of Helm's Deep, like its cinema battles? Because I still think, except for the Legolas surfing down the stairs with the shield, which I always try to ignore a little bit, I think it's most likely one of the best battle scenes in cinema history.
Which one is that?
The Battle of Helm's Deep, when
Man, and I've said this before. I love storming the castle battles. Like those to me, those are like tradition when it comes to fantasy and medieval times. Like storm the castle, defend the castle. The Helm's Deep battle was probably one of my favorites. And then I remember when Return of the King came and the attack on Gondor, and then you had the dead spirits in there added, and that battle was epic as well. It's like it's tough choosing which one was like top tier because they both have different qualities, but they both also had heightened action and strong scenes and strong character developments. But there's something about that Helm Deep battle, and I love the back and forth with the characters.
yeah, for the Battle of Minas Tirith, which we're gonna talk about next week, there I actually have like I don't like the animation of the undead, but that's what we're gonna talk about next week. Hey,
Yeah.
it's animation.
Hey, it's been almost a year since I've went live. This is the first live I've done since February of last year, so you you really ain't missed nothing. So thanks for joining. But yeah, I definitely could see that. The animation wasn't that bad, but like you said, we're gonna talk next week on that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with that whole battle sequence.
But like the army of the orcs was so our army of Urukai was so fucking well done. Like you can only imagine standing there like as a human or as an elf and looking down into the bloody abyss of what Isengard was able to produce in in that time.
Yeah. Um, this movie probably introduced probably one of the most complex character in the Golem. Smeagol, the whole complex of him battling himself, arguing with himself, and wanting to steal the ring, but also wanting to be friends with Frodo and Sam. Frodo is willing because he needs him to be a guide to get into Mordor, but Sam is very untrustworthy in him, and rightfully so,
Yeah.
because Golem has two. He's like split personality.
And
You
Gollum
got
is bloody murderer, so Smeagol is a murderer. Um, that was I remember back in the day when it came out. Me and my roleplay group, we were so looking forward to it. Of course, we loved the Fellowship of the Ring, and it was done so perfectly as we have discussed the last time. Um, but we all knew that, of course, we haven't seen Gollum yet, and whether or not they will manage to truly portray Gollum on screen, if it's going to be believable, or it's going to go into Uncanny Valley, by this, the whole trilogy will rise or fall. And just like with the first movie, when we were so surprised, our expectations were like we're not only met, but we got so much more. We got the fantasy movie that we never would think we would see in that sort of quality a high fantasy movie there is. So when we laid first eyes on Gollum, it was like, wow, this is like the first time a fully animated character was shown absolutely 100% believable on screen.
Yeah. And I'll admit, when I first watched the movie, he was a sore eye, just to watch.
Yeah.
But when you get past that, he is such a riveting yet complex character because of his splitness between like the Smeagol personality and the evil Golem personality, and the whole back and forth that he had with himself, while Sam and Frodo was sleeping. It's probably like one of the scene stealers, because it shows how desperate he is to get his precious ring back.
And big shout out to Andy Serkis. That was really like his career maker, that role.
It was. It put him on the map. And the funny thing is, like, he didn't really show his face in movies until like later on in the other movies. But this was his first breakout role, and it really took him to the next level.
Yeah, rightfully so. Like that's also why they added in the scene. I think it was the beginning of the third one. They put it on in the extended edition, where you can see him like as like a halfling, where he kills his best friend for the ring.
That's crazy, and it shows you how powerful that ring is. That you're willing to lay eyes on it and say you want it so bad that you'll kill your own family member to take it.
I still think that one of the strongest people in the whole franchise is also Bilbo.
Yes.
Because Bilbo was actually the only one who was, of course, a little bit help of Gandalf, but he was the only one who gave up the ring willfully. That had held it for such a long time.
And it's funny how he had it that long, and yet he never really lost his mind with it.
Yeah, that shows how strong of a will and also how content with life and just how fucking relaxed Bilbo was.
Yeah, he was. And he didn't... Sauron wasn't like constantly attacking him through the power of the ring. And, because Bilbo was more of that relaxed person, so he didn't let the ring overpower him.
Also, at that point, the Sauron didn't know that it was there, because I think it was also, he was not looking there, because, like I said, it's like
I think
the ring to end up in the hands of Hobbit.
But the funny thing is, Bilbo put the ring on. Didn't that activate Sauron? No one.
Oh, I don't think so. I didn't just think that.
Because I remember when he had
in that direction. I think it's like when he actually knows, like when he has like a direction or something, or how closer the ring comes to him. But that actually I don't have a 100% answer for that.
Yeah, because I remember when he put the ring on to escape that little party.
Yeah.
And that's when Gandalf followed him. That's when he questioned him about the ring.
Bloody proud feet.
But yeah, Frodo is really going through it with this ring. Between this movie and the next one, he is really going through it. And another great scene is after they were captured by Faramir, and the whole attack on Gondor. Again, it shows how great Samwise is as a friend, and that Frodo was ready to almost give up and give in, but Samwise was able to push him down from being attacked by the Dark Rider, and instill in him that we are on a mission to destroy this ring, and I'm going to stand by you till the end, no matter what.
Alone, Frodo would have not accomplished the task. Like he really needed Samwise for this.
because each time they move to a new area, like the ring is slowly breaking him down.
Yeah.
You know, and Samwise is there to straighten him out. You know, to keep him motivated, to keep him on the mission goal. And this is the importance of Samwise as the character. You know, and especially in the third film, we just see how great he was in terms of, you know, defending Frodo against the orcs and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this next week. Like, Samwise is fucking savage. He's not Samwise, he's Savage Gumtree. Like,
and Samwise had every right to keep his eye on the golem, because you can't trust somebody who's there for that ring. You know, he wants his precious back, and while he may look innocent, at the same time he has this devious side to him that you can't fully trust him. You know, and Samwise always was like that, you know, from this movie and the next movie.
Yeah, Samwise is one of the big three heroes of the whole saga.
And it was also that scene where Samwise, you know, saved Frodo, that Faramir, because he knew that they had the ring, mm-hmm. and that was what his father wanted, because that was the whole goal. They get the ring, they have the power. But once he saw the resilience of Frodo and Samwise and their goal, he's like, you guys can go and complete your mission. I'm going to let you go because I believe in what you two are doing. And he has a great character build right there.
Yes, I absolutely love how Faramir also, you know, he was arguing with himself, you know. This is the thing that can show my worth to my father. This is like something where my father finally can see me like in a different light.
Plus, not only that, Samwise told him about Boromir and how the ring was corrupting him.
Yeah. So that was like, I think that for Faramir was not only a fantastic introduction of the character, but already like how you see how his character develops in just this one scene is just phenomenal.
And it's a testament to the great writing and the great acting that is put into this film, because they really like start to form them tears coming out your eye when you hear the emotion from these actors portraying these characters.
And we haven't even talked about yet, like for more, like about Karl Urban.
Oh man,
like Eoma, like wow, that's also, of course, we all know Karl Urban, big fantasy, science fiction fan, comic reader, and luckily to him, he managed to play a lot of characters that he truly loved in his career so far.
Yeah,
and this was also like the true beginning of him, like being like slowly becoming a star.
I kind of wish he got some more screen time, because I loved his presence and stuff. And of course, when him and Gandalf showed up at the Battle of Helm's Deep, it was like, finally, they got some support. And it was great.
Absolutely. Like the whole Rohan, I loved the portrayal. It was...
the Rohan, King of Rohan was great. I loved him, and his niece was great too.
Yes.
I like how, you know, she
also does a fantastic job in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. A great actor.
Oh yeah. I like that, you know, she's falling in love with Oregon, but Oregon knows that he's tied to the A1. So
that's like when Aragorn bends into the friend zone.
yeah, he's like.
And I also really love King Theoden.
Yes.
from the transformation, of being like the king that was like basically what's the word in English? Like he was basically roofied into being like a submissive king. By Grima Wormtongue, who of course was the voice of Saruman there,
Oh,
and
they had to make him old and decrepit.
yeah,
I was like, that's some messed up shit right there, man. When not only they take control of you, but they turn you into an old decrepit man.
yeah, but
The scene where Gandalf confronted him and just
yeah,
like he fooled him with the gray on there, and then he said, Gandalf the white, and just
yeah.
he threw Saruman back. They like, oh shit.
Oh, we got our biggest fan back in the channel.
Yeah. The first time they made an appearance on my channel. I never had that shit.
That's my influence, probably.
Oh man.
Where I go, the porn sites follow me.
But yeah, the way Gandalf just exposed the Gandalf the White and just pushed Saruman back, like, that was awesome.
Yeah, and although Theoden is one of my favorite characters in the movie, since he really went from, having given up everything, being under the influence of Saruman, to basically being a kick-ass king, like being an inspiration to his men. This is also one thing that it's a very small, tiny thing that they chose that Gandalf is advising them against going to Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Because as far as I remember, I think in the book he actually advises them to go there. But it has been a while since I read it. Because it totally makes sense to go there. If you want to have like a battle, you don't want to meet Saruman and Sauron's forces on the open field, but rather behind the walls. And at that point, also there was like still no way to form an alliance with Gondor, because of course Gondor had like big problems on their own at hand.
Yeah.
The one thing I really liked that was changed from the books is like that the elves sent troops to help, which it's like it always seemed to totally gives me goosebumps, when there's like, okay, we honor the old alliance and we're gonna go there, and basically everybody fought and knew there, we also go there to die. Because they're also not in our favor.
Yeah, it was kind of like a foregone conclusion when they showed up that especially the leader, I like, damn, I know he's gonna die, man. It's gonna suck, but hey, that's the casualty of war. You show up to help out and defend, and death is gonna happen.
It is,
and I like that Theoden was questioning himself whether he was doing the right thing or not. Every king, no matter how strong you are, you're always gonna have that in the back of your mind, whether or not the decision you're making is the right one or not. And
every good king has that in their mind, because if they question themselves, it means that they care about their people. And of course, like a decision like this is not easily made.
Yeah. And it is always going to be a tough decision to make, but you have to stand firm behind that decision, and that's what strong kings do.
Hey, God
what's up, God Tank?
Yeah. You don't see my fist here, but I'm holding it up. And in the darkness, bind them.
But yeah, it's like the whole battle on Helm's Deep was just top notch. The orcs going in full throttle, and I love how the orcs have multiple ways of getting in. Whether it's battering ram, whether it's the slingshot over the wall and have a bunch of guys climb up the ladder to get up there. It's like you cannot stop them from getting in. They're gonna get in regardless, and it's just fantastic.
what is also so fantastic in the whole trilogy is that you can truly get like the culture from people, like from the armor, from the swords, how their weapons are forged, and of course, like when you see like the weapons of the Urukai, they're way more like geometrical, like the weapons, and they're more like a more like a rectangular like formed. You know, the swords are not like something that is like smoothly going, or something well balanced is smoothly going through the air. It's more like really like hack and slash weapons. They almost feel more like sort of Morning Star or thereof.
Yeah, but the way they use those weapons and all of their tools to get through the castle, it's just it's again, I love storming the castle tropes in a lot of fantasy movies, and the variety of ways they do it is always great. And when they have them slinging themselves over, to get in, it's like they'll do anything to get over that castle and start slaying people.
What I would really like to see, I have to look if something like this in YouTube. I would like to see the attack from the live action movie, but with the soundtrack of the animated one, because I think that the song that the Urukai are playing when they're attacking Hamstaff is so epic from the animated movie, with this chorus like Mordor.
I always love when you have the soundtrack or the score, and you got the creepy voiceover of Mordor and stuff like that. It just sounds epic, and it fits a battle scene.
Yeah, God Tank. The only way to watch these movies is with the extended versions. The cinema versions are like basically they're just a teaser.
Basically, like that's what you watch in the cinema when it first came out. Once you got the DVDs, the extended cuts, that's the future right there. Like
that was
no
so
more.
cool, because I remember watching the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's like because they already announced that they're gonna release an extended cut afterwards, and it's like I've seen it, it's great, but I want to see the extended cut. And now
exactly, you're waiting on that. And I'm like, man, the movie already 2.5 hours. Now the extended cut like 3 hours.
I think it was the
I'm
first
all for
time in my life when I remember ordering it via Amazon back then. And it was the first time in my life when I was truly sitting at home and looking at the tracking code like every 2 minutes. When it's here.
Yeah.
And luckily, I remember it vividly. It arrived on a Friday. I think I even stayed home from school that day because, like, fuck it.
Call out from work. It'd be like you either stay home from school or call out from work. I'm watching that.
It's so crazy, like, it still feels so new, but it was like in 2001, 2002. I was in bloody business school back then. I was a teenager. and now I'm almost a 40-year-old man.
I know, right? It's like, fuck, man.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago.
You're gonna be looking like Gandalf with long gray beards and all.
I'm already renting like Gandalf.
Yeah.
Because Void and Wizard can rent. Full of a took.
Ian McKellen is just awesome.
Yeah,
he was perfect for the role.
Absolutely perfect. So,
him and Christopher Lee was just made to do this together. As the Great White.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Sean Connery didn't get it. I mean, I love Sean Connery. Like, also rest in peace, Sean Connery. But he wouldn't be good for that role. And he luckily also knew himself because he said he read the script and like he didn't get it. So it's very good that he didn't accept it.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see him in the role, but what we got was McKellen and Christopher Lee, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And it's funny, around the same time, Christopher Lee was doing the Star Wars movies, as Count Dooku.
Which is also so funny because I remember there was this interview with him, when they interviewed him, like, oh, how did you like it, shooting the Lord of the Rings? They said, oh, Peter Jackson, so fantastic to work with him. It was so like he was like going on like this big like speech, how everything was fantastic with the Lord of the Rings, and then they asked me, yeah, and how was Star Wars? Like, oh, George Lucas is a good director, is a nice director. like you can really see like how he was just saying nice things to say nice things, but
But but it shows, like, the Lords of the Rings had these actors actually become strong friends, and they bonded through this movie, through the 3 or 4 years that they did this movie, all shooting in New Zealand and stuff. And the friendships that came out of it was just magnificent. I watched some of the back matter on the video on the Lords of the Rings, and you could just see the camaraderie that these actors have for each other. They became best
you
friends.
can still see, they
Yeah,
kept good stuff, and also, when the whole pandemic broke out, they make this huge reunion on a live stream. And you could totally see, like, in these scenes, that everybody was still able to sing the songs, and every time they meet, it really feels like you can see that there's something almost like a kinship formed between them.
yeah. And to me, this movie franchise, especially the Lords of the Rings, really just highlights how great actors can elevate something that's already great into god tier status.
And it
Like,
was a huge risk back then, because when Peter Jackson casted them, he said he realized, oh, like, all these hobbits never met themselves in real life. Or the whole fellowship, like, they never met in real life, so he had no idea, like, what the fuck is gonna do if they don't have a chemistry. However, I think you couldn't get a better chemistry on screen than what they had.
yeah,
Because even when you watch it, you see it is like, okay, the whole bloody Middle Earth is going to shite. Everything is like falling down. The forces of evil are closing in on the free people of Middle Earth. But if you want to die along a group of people, it would be those people, and they would do everything until my final breath to help them to succeed in the mission. So that's the beautiful thing. You watch it and you want to be part of that group.
exactly. Like when we talk Return of the King, I love Mary's elevation to wanting to fight.
Yes.
To want to be the part of the battle, because now it's like no turning back.
Exactly. I know I can die. That maybe I wouldn't have the biggest of impact, but I want to be there. I don't want to be somewhere safe when all of my friends risk their lives. So that's also, like, it's something so beautiful. The Lord of the Rings, and I think this is also something where you can truly see all the experiences that Tolkien had in the First World War. And the First World War was probably the most horrible war to fight in human history. And it was there. There were also people like whole classes that went to the front, and most of them died. And then you felt like, this survivor's guilt of the ones who made it through. Like, all my friends are dead, why am I still alive? And this is something you can totally feel in Lord of the Rings, and this makes it feel also so much more real, and it's also so much more easier to connect with them, because it's like, these are human feelings, and these are like human feelings that we all can connect to.
Like, look at Treebeard. While the whole battle at Helm's Deep is going on, he finds out that he lost his friends and family due to Saruman taking the trees and burning them and using them for resources.
This is also such a goosebump scene, when it goes there, it's time for the last march of the Ents. Like, whew.
Man, that whole attack on Isengard was just like, people talk about the Battle of Helm's Deep, but that Isengard one with the Ents,
Yeah,
attacking the tower and disrupting Saruman's forces, man, that was great. And I like the little comedic scene where one of the ants was on fire,
yeah,
and then when they destroy the dam, the water
yeah.
coming, you see him instantly make a
Yeah.
run like I mean,
That's so fantastic because it's on one hand it's funny, but it's also understandable. So
yeah,
I think it's something very realistic that I'm so happy that it's in there.
yeah,
And yeah, let's just say we humans are very lucky that there are like no ants on our world. Otherwise, they would rightfully kick our asses for
hey man,
all for what we do against nature.
yeah, and there's a hidden meaning. I mean, we talked about the allegories on the
Yeah,
last show about but the destruction of the forest.
yeah.
And for the forest has life in itself,
Mhm.
and you tearing down all these trees is tearing down the life of Earth, and it's a message in itself.
Absolutely, and like we said, like even though Tolkien himself hated allegories, but I mean, of course, like you can't put stuff on pages that you don't have personal experience with. So, and he had a huge disdain for industrialization, and on the other hand, he really loved like the rural areas that were more like in tone, they lived more alongside with the nature, um, which of course is also uh, like a very glorified portrayal of the rural areas, but it was very normal at that point of time. But yeah, you can totally see, that the evil of Saruman is not only that he conquers stuff; it's more like that he brings industrialization with it. This is something we only see very like in a glimpse in the movies. When Frodo looks into the mirror at Lord Lorien with Galadriel, and he sees like he sees for a glimpse like what happens to the Shire.
Oh yeah,
And in the books, like the Shire was overtaken, and at the end they had to retake the Shire, which is totally missing from the movies. But it would have been too much. Let's
yeah, it would
face it.
have been a lot,
Yeah, it would have been a little bit too much. But like the whole Shire was bloody industrialized.
and that's
So this
not
was
good.
like the horror of Mordor and Saruman that Tolkien was showing.
Yeah, and it 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 really highlights that no matter what, there's always going to be a evil in any type of form, and whether it's destroying Earth resources or the power of one item that corrupts all, you know, it's there's always going to be that element that can harm any type of life, you know, and the ring is that power.
Yeah,
The power of it. The ring is like these influencers that's trying to influence people to do things that they shouldn't be doing. You
exactly.
know,
This is the thing because everybody's speaking about the ring like this huge weapon, like, and of course, one would rightfully ask himself is like, well, this ring, what can it actually do, making people invisible, etc. But it's not about that what the ring can do. It's more about what the ring can influence people to do.
yeah,
So it's like there's a huge, of course, there's like a huge part of the power of Sauron is like within the ring, but nobody can truly unlock it except for Sauron.
yeah.
All other people just think, and this is like the crux of the ring, where you think you can use it as a weapon. However, no, it's like only Sauron can use it really.
All the ring's going to do is corrupt you and separate
Yeah,
you from your train of thought. You're going to alienate people. Because they see you as a completely different person now.
yeah,
And like we said earlier, like Bebo was able to avoid that because of the good naturedness of his character, that he was
yeah.
able to avoid that influence of the power of the ring.
And this
because
is why Bilbo is, in my opinion, like probably the the best person in all of Middle Earth.
yeah, and when we talk about the third movie, that ending though, man, is a real tearjerker too.
Yeah, but as we know, it's not the end. It's just the beginning of a new journey.
Yep, it's always a new journey coming ahead.
And just worse places than Valinor. Like I would gladly go to Valinor.
So, is there any other like favorite scene of yours in the film that we didn't talk about?
Favorite scene is like the whole movie is a favorite scene. Um, I mean, of course, we have tackled like there's so much, uh, between the triangle between Samwise, Gollum, and Frodo. It's so well done, and it's really hard to pinpoint like that, like a certain scene. But I just really like, when also Gollum and Smeagol, like basically, or when Gollum and Smeagol are having like this discussion, where he's like talking with himself,
Yeah,
whether or not to trust Frodo or not, because of course he was also conflicted in that scene. So this
yeah,
is something that it is so tough to portray. It's very easy to write. I mean, it's not very easy to write, but it's easier to write than to show in a live action movie. But they totally nailed this.
yeah. They got it right. They got it
Yeah,
right. It's like they had two shots of him talking to himself, but he's in the same spot.
yeah. And the other thing is also, we can totally experience by ourselves what in the first film when Frodo said, "I wish like Bilbo would have killed him," and there's like, and Gandalf's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," like Bilbo had like pity for him, and there's like it's not a bad thing, and then we can see how Frodo sees how Bilbo found it in his heart to care for Gollum, and we experience that too because there is still a good side about it. Who brings like the fishes, and of course he's like a psychopath, which
Hmm.
maybe always was the one, and the ring just truly amped up the whole thing to 11. But it really shows that that he's not like a one-dimensional character, or
Yeah,
just like that he's not just like a plot device there, but really like a very deep character. So this was, like I said, this is like the thing where we are also curious is like how they will do Gollum, because we have never seen something like this in a movie before.
and they did him right.
Absolutely.
They did him right. And you're conflicted with the character because you want to like him
But you
due
also
to
know that
yeah, yeah, like you right there with Sam. It's like I can't trust him. Like he has this innocence about himself, but at the same time, there's a devious side to him. And Frodo was just using him. He wants to use him to get to Mordor as a guide. But Sam is like, man, I don't like this.
yeah,
And
let's just say
and
next week I can't wait to talk about how happy I am that,
what's up, Daryl?
yeah, how basically how Gollum got his end. Like it's so poetic. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
Eh, yeah. That next week is going to be something else.
Next week is gonna be lit.
Yes, and I can't wait to
Hey, D, Daryl, how are ya?
I can't wait to dive into that, man. But speaking of which, we got a little news. Now that we're done talking Lord of the Rings, we're gonna deviate and talk about some news that was announced earlier this week. Let me add this up. The Rocky collection.
Yes, remember when we talked the Rocky movies in November, we were both saying like, we really hope they're gonna do like a 4K edition of it, and as if Stallone would watch our stream, there's not only gonna be 4K editions of the Rocky collection, but Rocky 5 and 6 will also get a re-edit like Stallone did with the fourth one.
Now, when I saw the first photo, I was like, man, no Rocky 5 and 6. And then I saw this one. Yeah. And then I started, like, I understand 5. Because remember when we talked about 5, yeah. I was saying that there was a work print collection, you know, where they had, like, certain scenes that were new, that wasn't added into the movie.
Hey, Jacob. I have a new
what's up, Jacob?
Yeah, that's a fantastic Christmas gift to get.
Yes.
I still have to find a nice edition. I remember the first time, of course, I read it in German. I still have to read it in English, actually. So, but maybe that's one of my goals for this year. I have to finally read it in English.
But when I saw this, I was like, I'm interested in seeing what he does with 6, Balboa. Because for me personally, I think Rocky Balboa is fine the way it is. Like, if anything, I hope he don't take anything out of the original.
Yeah.
You know, because one thing he did with the Drago versus Rocky fight is that he took out scenes and added new scenes. But with Balboa, I hope he don't take anything out.
What I could see, what it does, and I don't know if I mean, I have all the trust in Stallone. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. Stallone is awesome. I love Stallone. Maybe he's adding like scenes from earlier movies, like in or something like that. You know, when there's like a recall, like with Spider or something, but which I think is actually unnecessary because when you watch these movies, you actually watch them anyway together.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm perfectly fine with 5 being redone.
I really hope that you know my opinion. I really like the 5th Rocky. Of course, it's like the weaker one of the franchise, but I think it's still a fantastic movie. But I really hope by a new edit of the movie, it would hopefully get more the praise it would actually deserve.
I hope so too, because again, like we said back in November, I have not watched Rocky 5 since the 90s. It was the weakest of the original 5, and you know, rewatching the movie, I do have a better appreciation from the movie. It's still my least favorite of those 5, but I don't hate it as much as I did back then.
I would even go maybe. I think he could edit those movies that they actually serve also better as sort of a prequel to Greed.
I think he's gonna do, because like I said with the director's cut of Rocky 4, it was almost as if he did that director's cut to make up some of the things that he didn't like with the movie and elevate Creed's character a lot more, as if to say, like, I'm gonna do right by Apollo after what I did to him in this movie. So I'm gonna elevate Apollo's character a bit more even after he died.
Yeah, and if you were to see like with Rocky 5, you know, more that what is picked up again, like when he trains Adonis.
Yeah,
that would be very interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to these recuts of this. And one of the things that people were saying, they like, because they still want a complete collection. So it's like, you know, you're gonna buy this knockout collection. You know, you're gonna buy 4 and 5. I mean 5 and 6 new cuts, and then they're gonna put out another collection with all of them in there. So he like, damn.
And then they're gonna put out a collection with all the Greed movies.
Yeah, so it's like, and look, it comes out 2/28. So that's right before Creed 3.
Yeah, that's, you know, like I said already last time, is like they think that I'm as stupid as I'm actually am. Like I gotta rebuy, because of course 4K. I want to see the fucking movies in 4K.
Yeah,
Uh, I haven't seen it yet. I heard very good things about
yeah, I'm
it.
hearing good things about it
However,
too.
who has Paramount Plus? So I'm probably gonna wait until it's released on Blu-ray or something. It's like
Shoot, I don't even. I watch Star Trek and I don't have Paramount Plus. I just wait till it's out on the collection.
yeah, I'm definitely not, I'm not playing the streaming game. Like the whole streaming thing was actually to have everything in one spot.
Are you watching it, Sanimation? What do you think about it? Because I know I've heard good
Usually
things
she
about it.
has to watch it somehow because she has to get her mafia fix. I did watch from Francis, Michael Francis, like when he reviews the Tulsa King episodes. So the series sounds very interesting, but I also have to say I'm one of the people I don't care about spoilers when I watch something.
Oh,
Yeah, probably
I mean,
because most of my favorite movies are actually adaptations of books that I already knew.
yeah. Eventually, I'm gonna get to watching it. Stop sharing this.
But yeah, I heard very good things about Tulsa King and yeah. Yeah. We also need to talk a little bit more mafia movies this year.
Yeah, I was thinking, with Sanimation in the chat, I wanted to say like maybe if with March, we could do Mafia March and talk nothing but Mafia movies for March. I think that would be perfect.
Sounds good.
Like I want to talk Goodfellas, The Godfather.
The mafia parody movie. Wasn't it the last rule of Bridges?
Yeah. I haven't watched Casino in a long time, and I remember hating Sharon Stone's character so much in that movie. She was a bitch in that movie.
Yeah, she's also a bitch in Total Recall.
Well, she
Even Basic Instinct doesn't make it look any better. I mean, it looks very great, but character-wise, it's like if any of Casino, Basic Instinct, and Total Recall have shown me one thing is be careful if you sleep with a very hot chick.
well, she got the divorce in Total Recall, so
Consider that a divorce.
yes. But yeah, if we could do Mafia March, and do Mafia movies that way, I'm down for that.
Yeah. I just recently, I think it was autumn or something, rewatched actually Casino and Goodfellas.
I rewatched Goodfellas back in November. I've just watched it. Came on, so I watched it. So good.
And it's so interesting because there's a lot of fantastic channels on YouTube that dive so deep into all the characters and why did this person make this decision, etc. Which shows that within the genre and probably that because of the
And,
like
and I love
we are fantastic directors.
and I love looking at the historical facts on the real life Henry Hill and the mob that he was part of. So yeah. Goodfellas is part of my jam.
Channel, like he has so much. Of course, he has so much knowledge about this. The American Gangster with Denzel Washington is also fantastic.
I love that movie. It's funny. I watched somebody posted the clip of him killing Idris Elba out on the street. And I was like, damn. When I think of that scene, I think of Stringer Bell, from The Wire that Idris Elba played. I was like, see, this is what happens when you mess with a real boss. Yes.
Yeah, this is more. I think actual mafia movies must be one of the genres where you have the least amount of bad movies.
And I watched
Except for the Travolta Gotti movie.
I watched what was it? One of my favorites, like quasi mafia movies, like King of New York with Christopher Walken. I love that movie. Christopher Walken, my jam.
Oh, Gangs of New York is basically a mafia movie.
Yeah, that too. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis is so fantastic.
Butcher.
Bill the Butcher.
Man, there's so many movies we could talk, man. We definitely got plan that out in March.
Yeah. I mean, also like for the Godfather movies, you basically need like one screen each.
I know, man. It's like 1 and 2 I can do. I have not watched 3. Like 3 is another one that's my least favorite. I think it's everybody's least favorite. But I do need to revisit 3.
Or Suicide Kings with Christopher Walken. That's also a good one.
VHS. Good old VHS.
VHS.
Man, I wish I still had some of my old VHSs.
I have not watched the recut of The Godfather 3.
I have not watched that neither. Like I said, I haven't watched that since way back. So,
which is a pity. I think I had a wonderful collection of all the Godfather movies, and I think I borrowed it once, and I've never seen it ever since.
Yep. And we also got, I know, February is Black History Month.
Yeah.
So we'll probably dive more into blaxploitation films, and maybe tell Al to take a day off, and we could talk Dolomite.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
have to make like a double feature with Dolomite and the Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out too.
Yeah. It's crazy, yes. I wish I had more time to read, to watch movies.
I know, right?
Yeah. And every day I'm having big plans and I'm sitting in front of YouTube.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it right here. I want to thank everybody who showed up in the live chat: Sanimation, Biggie Shack, Jace, God Tank, Jacob, Simply Incredible. Thank you all for showing up in the live chat. It's been first time live since February of last year, and I haven't lost a beat. It just came back to me normally, so it's great. VV, thanks again. We've been doing this for 2 years. We keeping it going strong, and I can't do this without you, bro.
Thank you. Now I'm finally the guest, and now I'm getting all the praise.
Hey, you praise me every time I show up, for the stream on your channel, so I gotta do it the same here.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm down for it. I'm down for the 30s movies too.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of them. I think mostly I've seen like clips from them, but there's a lot of fantastic movies. Isn't it also like that? Because you really have still very vividly like the crime doesn't pay message in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so early Hollywood is quite interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm willing to dive into some early Hollywood, because I watched some of the old ones growing up as a kid, and the acting class is way different from what it is today, or even in the 90s and stuff. So, but yeah, next week we'll talk Return of the King and conclude our Lords of the Ring trilogy, and then after that we'll just go from there. But like I said, thank everybody for showing up. This is your boy Sean, VV.
Yep.
We will catch you later, y'all.
Have a savage weekend.
Peace out.